Let's take a look at layout number 2 in this Cake Day collection. This layout is super fun, whether you are having a party or an ice cream social or even an afternoon drive just to get ice cream with the kids. This layout is so perfect for so many different occasions. On this layout, we are going to follow the workshop guide instructions with a few modifications. And I want to point out a couple of things before we get started. One of the things is that when we did layout number 1, you may remember that we cut our paper, our wild berry paper, slightly different, right? So instead of doing 11 by 11, we did 11 1/4 by 11 1/4, right? And we were saving this strip down at the bottom for another layout, right? So when you take your pieces from here that you're going to put in your ice cream cones, you want to be sure that you've grabbed the shorter piece, okay? So here I have the 12, it's 12 inches, and that is what I want to save for my layout number 3. So you want to be sure that you're going to use the pieces from here for your ice cream cone, okay? So just your little scraps, you can see I just have been cutting little pieces off of that, okay? The other thing is there is no right or wrong how you do these ice cream cones and how many you have in solid colors. If you want more solid colors, use more of your leftover scrap pieces, right? The other thing I saw that Barbara had done after I created our guide was that she put craft paper down here on the ice cream cones, and that was such a super great idea, right? The other thing that I want to point out is that I did not put a full sheet of the polka dotted papers behind this. You're going to see that I only use little pieces to put behind there so that I could save the paper for another layout. Okay? So I think that those are a few of the modifications. Here you'll see that I added in that glacier paper in the background just to give it a little bit more solid space so we didn't have so many pattern on pattern, right? So you can see here the directions has a lot of pattern going on in the background, and I love the polka dots and the colors in that polka dot paper, but I wanted to put a little bit more of a solid in there to make it a little bit more pleasing to your eyes. When you have a loud pattern, you really want to put some more solid into your layouts. Otherwise, your focus is on the patterned paper and not on your photos, right? And yes, we love making these beautiful layouts, and we love all the colors and the patterns and all that fun stuff. And yes, the creativity is a huge part of why we scrapbook, but the main reason at the end of the day that we scrapbook is to preserve our memories and to share our pictures, right? So we want to make sure that our pictures are our focal point of our layout. So by adding in this solid glacier paper, you can see how it's made the photo spots pop, versus here there's a lot going on for your eyes to look at. And honestly, for me, my eyes are drawn to all that pattern versus the photos, okay? So we want to keep our focus on the photos, but I was still able to put in that pretty polka dotted pattern paper in there, right? It's still there. We've just added a little bit more solid to make our photos pop. Okay, so those are a couple of the things I know that we changed right off the bat. And the other thing is that in the cards that Barbara is doing for the PML cards, you are going to use this PML card in one of those bonus projects. So if you're creating the bonus PML cards, you will use this card, but I cut a little piece of it off, and you might want to check Barbara's instructions to see, you know, where's a good spot to cut it. But I know that this was partially covered in her card, so I was able to just cut a little piece off so you won't notice it in the card. And that little piece I put right here with some liquid glass on it. I thought that that pattern looks just like a sugar ice cream cone, right? A sugar cone. So how fun is that? All right, let's get started in creating these fun layouts. Whether it's for a party or an ice cream social, these layouts will have you covered. So the first thing that I have here is, of course, I brought in my Versamat because I love using my Versamat to line things up and make sure everything is straight. We have some of our little embellishments over there. This is going to be our photo mat here. Okay. And set those aside right there. We've got our little circle here. You can go ahead and pop out your ice cream cone there in the center. And our little scrap pieces here. There it is. Okay, and in the directions you would have already have cut these. I didn't cut this piece yet, but that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're gonna do here is we are going to turn this piece over, and we are going to put all of the little pieces behind our ice cream cones. Okay, and you can do this however you want, but you will notice that I did try to go with like a triangular pattern with my colors. So we've got the orange, so they're kind of making triangles. It's always good to work in triangles in your threes, right? So you can see we've got the different colors in the triangles there. Okay, and it does get a little tricky because when you turn this over, you're working backwards. Go ahead and tack my photo spot, this piece right here, down, because we don't need to cover the ice cream cones behind that. And then we're gonna banner the end. Okay, so to banner the end, how I do this is I just cut up the middle, and then I meet it on the ends. Okay, so we're gonna cut up the middle and meet it on the ends. Okay, so there is our banner piece, and I'm gonna move this out of the way for a moment. And I'm just going to lightly tack this piece down because we will tack it down a little bit better after a bit. I just want to, because I don't want to glue it down to here, I'm just tacking it down. All right, so this is, we're going to glue this down better later. I'm just tacking it there so we know when we turn this over how we are going to do. We don't need to do all of these ice cream cones, right? All right, so I should have cut this piece. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, honestly. Hopefully, yes. Okay, so the first thing that I did was decide on where I wanted these colored ones to be. And again, like I said, we're working in more of a triangle, and we also want to keep in mind that this one here is going to be it's not going to be black. Who has a black ice cream cone, right? So it's going to be the wild berry and our other one, so keep in mind that you're going to have wild berry right there as well, which would be about right here. Okay, so I'm just filling these in my triangular patterns. Okay, so that is kind of how I'm gonna want those. And then these. I just cut scraps of those. Okay, so rather than putting that whole piece of paper, I just used some scraps to fill these in. All right, so there we go. That's how. And then I'm going to just go ahead and start gluing them down. Remember, you can decide which color you want down. And I put my adhesive just a little bit around those cones and then stuck them down like that. Now this whole thing's going to be glued down, so you don't have to worry about having a lot of adhesive on there because the whole piece is going to get glued down. Make sure you're putting the polka dots down and all of your color ones, you have the same color down. This is another great way to use the cardstock. If you got in on the cardstock carnival, look, you can put cardstock behind these pieces. So just using up scrap, right? How fun is that? So I'm curious, how many of you watching are VIPs and received your Cake Day supplies for today's class with a 15% credit back? And did you get the Stamp of the Month for free too? How awesome. The VIP program is such a great deal. If you are ordering and not a VIP, you definitely want to think about that because you get credit back on all of your orders. Okay, so see, rather than using a big piece of paper, this just, I'm able to save this paper now, what's left of it, and use it for cards or something else. Okay, I think I got them all glued down. And again, they don't have to be perfectly glued because you're going to glue this whole piece down. But now we have something that looks like that. And you can see how my colors are making triangles on the paper, which is more pleasing to the eye, and all the rest of them are filled in with the polka dots. Cute, cute, cute. All right, so then the next thing that we are going to do is take this piece and adhere it down to our white piece of cardstock. Okay, and I think I showed you in my last video, a little trick for getting this lined up in the center is to make sure that, so we have the X, I'll show it just again in case you haven't watched the other video yet. And I do have some adhesive on here that I'll clean up afterwards, but we do have an X here on our Versamat. If you take this and line it up so that all of your corners are on the X. Okay, so all of my corners. Okay, so all of my corners are on that X, right? I'm then going to take and put my adhesive on the back of this. And I am going to do a little bit more adhesive than I maybe normally would because I have all of these pieces in here. Okay, so remember I said we didn't have to worry about gluing this piece really well because we would get it later. So now you're going to see it's going to get glued down to that piece. But make sure all of our corners are lined up on the X. Okay, my fingers are glued to the layout. Okay, and then we're going to take our piece of cardstock and we're going to line this up right onto my 12. So see how I have this lined up right on my layout, right on my Versamat, right? So now you know when I turn this over, our layout is perfectly, our center piece here is perfectly centered, okay? All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to put our photo mat here, and I really just centered it on there, but there are directions here if you wanted to follow the directions. It's 2 1/4 down. Okay, 2 1/4. And you know, there really is no right or wrong. You just do it how you want. I know some people are measurements. I usually just look and do, but whatever is your fancy. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that. I'm going to go about right there. Okay, and this is going to be covered up there so it doesn't matter. Okay, and then I have a photo mat to go here. You do have some of these photo mats in your kit as well, or you can just put your picture right there, whichever you're doing. And I'm just going to pop up here a little bit to make sure that we are in the camera okay and recording. Okay, all right. The next thing that we're going to do is take this little piece here, and remember I said that we're going to cut out from the PML card. So you want to make sure if you're doing the PML bonus cards, you want to make sure that you know, you're just cutting a little piece out from that so that you still have enough room to use on that card. So really I just cut just enough to do the bottom little part there of that ice cream cone. So I'm going to oops. I think that should do it. More than do it because I cut it on a funny angle. Let's see. just trying to decide how I want the pattern on it to be like that. Okay, so I can just trim some of this. I don't need all of this. Okay, so see there, I just have that little base to my ice cream cone there, and I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive. Okay, make sure you put it the right color. We don't want a green ice cream cone. So I'm working to keep it underneath this part here, but make sure that it gets up there so enough so it gets glued down. And then we're going to need another little piece of the scrap of our pink, or the wild berry. Okay, and then we can go ahead and glue that down. Voila, there's our little ice cream cone, and that's going to get popped up right here. Okay, and my foam tape. So I put the foam tape over those pieces to help hold them in there as well. Non-stick scissors work great for the foam tape, but on the thin, it's just as easy to just tear it as you saw I just did. Okay, and then this is going to go right up here. Okay, and then we'll put that liquid glass there at the very end when we're done with all of our layout, and then we'll set it aside to dry. Okay, the next we have is our stickers, and we have the Hip Hip Hooray, and then the Yum sticker. And remember, in our prep video, we did all of our liquid glass on our pieces, right? And so you, again, can do this however you want, but I put the Hip Hip Hooray, I put the Hip Hip down flat. So I didn't put any dimensional tape behind it, and then I put the dimensional tape behind the Hooray. But you can do it however you want, whichever works best for you. And you could liquid glass this or not, that's up to you as well. And I'm gonna grab my Yum, or my Hooray, I mean, so that I can take my sticky off of it. So you know we use the anti-static pouch to remove the sticky from our stickers, so that when we put the foam tape behind it, that it's not sticking around the foam tape, right? Otherwise our sticker won't lay flat. Okay, and then I'm going to put some foam tape behind that one. I'm choosing to use the little wider option here. And I'm going to just put that here like this. This layout goes together real quick and easy, super, super fun. Great in the summer for ice cream, great for parties, so many fun occasions. Okay, and so I'm gonna decide where I want this one to be, because I want to be able to get all of these in at the bottom here and still have my Yum there, and I don't want to cover up too much of my colored ice cream here. So I think what I'm gonna do is go about right there, and I'm gonna put this one right here. Okay, and I'll put that one there. And then the little yum sticker. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this one down. Just peeling my backs off of this. And this is gonna overlap on your picture just a little bit. So the way that I do that is I don't take the backing off of the whole thing, so I still can overlay this on my picture frame, and it's not going to, I can still get my picture under there. Okay, and then we will stick our yum right here like that. Okay, I've got some of the embossing powder there. All right, the next thing is this little hearts down here, and you don't want to glue this all the way down so that you can still get your picture in there, or you want to move it down, one or the other. Okay. So I just did a little bit of adhesive on my ends for now so that I can still get my picture under there. Okay, cute, cute. Everybody doing good? You know, if you ever get stuck as you're putting together these layouts and don't know what we did, you can always feel free to comment on the video and ask your question, or message myself or Barbara. We're always happy to help with any questions that you might have. Okay, so the next thing that we have here is our cake. You see I put the liquid glass. Look at how that shines on there, the liquid glass on the cake. So fun. So fun. And I know when we did our last layout, somebody asked about having a little closer view. So I'm trying to bring my camera down just a little bit, and I'm also looking into another option to where I could have a close-up view and this view at the same, where I can move it back and forth so that you can, see easier. But hopefully everybody's following along okay and can see just fine what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and use my anti-static pouch on the back of this sticker. Okay. So this is going to go down here just like that, and I'm going to put some foam tape behind it. And I do see when I put this piece down, I probably should have gone over a little bit more. I was looking at the dimension of this piece instead of, or the measurement of this piece instead of that piece, but it's all good. It all works out just fine. Okay, so again on, let's see. When I put my foam tape on the back of this cake, because this is going to overlap on our photo, I'm going to put my foam tape this way, okay, so that when I remove the foam tape, I'm going to remove it only from the side that's on the layout, not on the photo mat, okay? Okay, so when I put this down, I'm going to remove only the side over here for now so that I can be sure to get my photo under there. Okay, so I can still get my photo underneath. So we put our foam tape vertical versus horizontal so that we could remove the backing only on this side. Okay. All right, so the last thing, we have three more things on this layout on this side. One of them is our little pieces here. Okay, normally I would use my little piece of my all-purpose mat. I have a smaller one that I've cut down, but it's packed in my car for a crop, so I brought my big Versamat here just on the side. And you can use your Quickie glue pen. You could use, I'm going to use the Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. Whatever adhesive works best for you. I think in the workshop guide they use the Quickie glue pen, but mine is also packed in my car, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And this particular adhesive has 2 point tips on it, your fine tip and your broad tip. Okay, and this adhesive is both repositionable and permanent. So it's repositionable when you first put it, and then it becomes permanent. Okay, so I have my all-purpose mat here, so I don't have to worry about where I get the adhesive. And I'm going to go ahead and just put some adhesive down here on this. And again, your little Quickie pen, glue pen, would work great for this. Mine is packed out in my car for a crop, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this. Whatever adhesive you have will work good. The liquid adhesive is just a little bit easier to get it on all these spots here, these little spots. I'm trying not to put too much so that it doesn't overflow out of the sides when I push it down, but it will dry clear, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this one across the top here. And again, if you get a little bit over, it will dry clear like I did right there. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the bottom. The Quickie glue pen is easier to get in these little spots and won't have as much liquid running over the edge like I have here. But I do love this adhesive that I am using here, this Tombow, for lots of different things because it's positionable for a period of time before it becomes permanent. I also have the Tombow, the blue liquid one, which is also a great adhesive as well. So again, I've got my all-purpose mat here, so if I go off the edges a little bit, it won't hurt anything because it's on this mat that will wipe up. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one at the bottom. Whoops. There we go. Okay, and the little bit of adhesive that I have there will dry up nicely. The next thing that we're going to do is take some of our embellishments here. We're going to use 3 of them. We've got one down here on the cake. And one just below the cake. And one of the little bows for the present came out, so I'll just set that aside for later. I'm just deciding which one I want to put up here by the ice cream cone, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. Okay, so we'll put up here, we'll put one, and then we're going to put two, one on the cake and one just below the cake. Stand up to make sure that I'm recording okay here for us. All right. And again, your liquid glass works good for this. This glue here works good. It will dry clear. Your Quickie glue pen will work good also. And I've even been known to use a little bit of the Tombow tape runner on these as well. That works good too. So the last things that we're going to do on this layout is the liquid pearls and the liquid glass there. And I'm going to wait and do that part after we do the next, the right side of this. So I'm going to move this aside and we will go ahead and get started with our next layout.